Well, Monarch Smoking continues as we wrap up our week-long look into our division bunkmates in the American Association West Division. We're joined by the one and only Connor Ryan of those Sioux City Explorers, who we'll see tonight at Legends Field in Kansas City. First off, Connor, are you geared up, your bags packed, ready to go, hit the road?
I don't have the bags packed just yet, but that's definitely on the to-do list here tonight. So we'll hit the road early tomorrow morning, and looking forward to being back at Kansas City and the beautiful ballpark you guys have there.
This thing is built into an interesting rivalry, and I don't know from your perspective. I just get the feeling of talking because it's such a close-knit group up there in Sioux City. I know all you guys. I get the feeling from a front office, ballpark perspective, the fan perspective, that they really playing Kansas City is a pretty big deal. Playing the Monarchs is a pretty big deal. On the field, I think Steve Montgomery's troops and his dugout playing Joe Capietra is a pretty big deal. That's pretty easy to say, right? Am I right on target here? This has become the rivalry maybe for the Explorers. It used to be the Canaries, but maybe Kansas City now.
Yeah, no, I mean, and the biggest part about that, I think, is the fact that we have played so many key games. I mean, you think about every time we run into you guys, it feels pretty important. And then not only that, but I don't think there's really been, well, I shouldn't say been a blowout. Last year, you guys were world beaters, but for the most part, they were always very close games. And I always said, it always felt like we would race out to a 5-0 lead, and then you guys would chip away, and by the 8th inning we were tied again, and every pitch mattered. I mean, you think about back to 2018, that those games in the regular season were always close and always tough, and then we play in the playoffs and it goes to game 5, and the infamous drop ball in right field. And then the following year in 19, you guys win the division because you beat us on a couple of walk-offs the final weekend, Labor Day weekend. Cleburne gets knocked out the last second, but then we're the ones that, take you guys out in the postseason. And then last year, you guys on your way to another championship take us out. So I think it's been 3 years in a row, not counting 2020, that we've met in the postseason. Yeah. So, and the biggest part of a rivalry too is that both teams have to win. And both teams have to win meaningful games, and both teams have to kind of break the heart of the other team. And we've certainly kind of done that to each other.
Yeah.
So that's where I would agree. It's definitely become a pretty big time rivalry. And honestly, I can't think of a better way to start off the season than, hey, let's go toe to toe with the defending champs and see what we got to start off the year. So that makes it fun.
It's a great measuring stick, I think, for both ball clubs. And you're right. These games, I think back of even the regular season games, there's always one play here, one play there. There are very few blowouts. I think even last year in the division series, it was a pretty nip and tuck game in game 1, and boom, the Monarchs get a big grand slam home run and kind of turned the game upside down there. It was nip and tuck. It's kind of been that way. It seems like every time these two teams meet, either in Kansas City or they're up in the Siouxland, on a dime, one key play, and you're talking about the fly ball. I mean, I bet we could sit here over Coldwood and go through about 12 key plays over the last 3 years that we've squared off, right?
Yeah, and I know what game you're talking about last year, game 2, that one hurt.
Game 2.
We had bases loaded, nobody out in the top of the 7th, I believe. We had a chance to take the lead, which was the closest I think you guys came to actually trailing in the postseason, which is impressive. But then, we had bases loaded, nobody out, couldn't push anyone across. You guys had the following bottom half of that inning, had 2 outs, nobody on, loaded the bases, and then Sioux City Explorers killer, which I was not sad to see that he's not on the roster this year. Colin Willis hits the grand slam, and that was the knife to the heart. So, no, you're absolutely right. It's been the flip of a coin for a lot of these games between the two of us, because if we say it's reversed, say we hit the grand slam or we come up with the rally, the series is tied heading back to Sioux City.
Absolutely.
And what happens from there?
Absolutely. Connor Ryan's with us here on Monarch Smoke opening day. It's been a week-long look at the West Division, which is a new division. Let's get to that quickly here. And I said this to all the guys that have been on, and I'm a broken record. A really good team is not going to make the postseason, even with the new postseason expansion. This division is loaded. And I can make a case for every team in this division to come out on top and also make it the postseason. I could also probably come up with the reason they don't make it. This thing is competitive top to bottom. I mean, you wouldn't be wrong to pick any of these clubs to win the division.
No, you wouldn't. And you're exactly right. There is going to be a good team they might not have a winning record, but they're a very competitive team that's going to miss out on the postseason. I guess, yeah, straying away from our two clubs, because obviously we're, competitors every year now, but Fargo's always Fargo.
Yeah.
They're going to hit. They added a couple of pieces in their trade from Milwaukee with Manuel Boscan. I believe he's on the visa reserve list to start the year,
Right.
but he'll, obviously join the team and be pretty good. Fargo's just really, Brian Flores is back. They have some really good players up there. I'm excited to see how Lincoln does with Brett Jody, just because last year he took over a roster that really was not his. And Jody was kind of the, I say the Joe Calfapietro, Steve Montgomery of the Atlantic League. He was in the playoffs every year. The guy knows how to win. He almost dragged a pretty banged up Salt Dogs team into the postseason last year. And Sioux Falls in that ballpark is always it's always a crapshoot when you go there, how things play out. And it feels like Winnipeg, it's time for Winnipeg to be Winnipeg again. They were a travel team in 2020, really again in 2021. They're finally going to be playing at home at Shaw Park all season long. They haven't made the postseason since they won the whole thing in 17, if I'm correct on that. I could be wrong. Steve Schuster will be quick to correct me on that.
They're back-to-backers,
Yeah, exactly. They won back-to-back, and I don't think they've been kind of quiet since then. So it feels like it's time for Rick Forney and the Gold Eyes to, kind of be back into the fold of contenders this year.
Your club, I look up and down, and I think of one key name that I think that just, and he does it defensively first, Chase Harris. Mm-hmm. He's a guy that, the only guy I think in the league in center field who can really, he can save you one or two runs a game, especially in a clutch game. I see what he's become as a ball player, having him back at kind of a defense. And usually you talk about offense, but his defense can really set the tone for this ball club.
Yeah, that's why I've been pushing the league to change the Defensive Player of the Year award to the Chase Harris Defensive Player of the Year award. It felt like at a certain point last year that it was every series he was making a ridiculous play. The sliding plays and the routine, I say routine, a diving play and a web gem for anyone else is kind of like, okay, Chase dove and made the play. Yeah, he left his feet. Who cares? He didn't go over a wall to get it. He didn't leap 10 feet in the air to get it. Like, it doesn't matter anymore. But you're exactly right. He's a huge security blanket for the pitcher. If a ball's hit to center field, they really don't have to worry about it. And especially with our outfield, we have a very spacious outfield, and you guys have those large gaps in Kansas City. Chase Harris can, turn a lot of would-be doubles into outs.
No doubt about it. Nate Sampson, healthy. He's back. He is the heart and soul. Of course, so with Michael Lang for so many years, those two guys as mainstays. But Nate, who's a phenomenal young man, much like Michael is as well. I guess he's sort of the captain du jour, the face of the franchise. He's the guy that's going to, maybe not obviously lead the team on the field, but just lead the team in general.
Yeah, and like you said, Nate obviously is a great player. The MVP back in 2016. I remember it was actually in Kansas City. I was at the outlet malls, and someone brought up that, Nate Sampson's been killing us for years. So he's not just a household name in Sioux City, he's a household name everywhere in the American Association. And like you said, he's even more valuable in what doesn't show up in the box score, which is on the field, his leadership, and in the clubhouse. He keeps the boat going. He keeps it rowing, and he holds people accountable with his own play. He's definitely one of those guys that's, I'm not going to tell it, but I'm going to show you how it needs to be done. When he leads by example and everybody else definitely follows suit. So it's awesome to have him back. What
a great guy too. Connor Ryan's with us here on Monarchs Mocha. Dan Vaughn with you, our opening week extravaganza. Jose Sermo, no longer with the ball club, playing over in the Industrial League of Japan. How do you feel that hole?
Well, unfortunately, not day one. Adamar Rifiala and Danry Vasquez are kind of going to be the two guys that help fill that hole eventually. But they're like, Isabel for you guys with the visas right now that we're kind of waiting on them a little bit. But for day one, I would probably say you're going to see Gabe Snyder, our first baseman, projected to be that corner infielder bat. He's got some pretty good pop, and watching the exhibition game yesterday, he had a couple of hits, and I expect, honestly, Sebastian Zawada to take a big jump this year. He played 90 games last year, looked healthy, and he's a name I've heard a lot about this spring training.
Yeah, he's a guy that when I look at him, I kind of see a little from the other side of the field, obviously, a little Michael Langness to him as well, maybe a little more pop. But I mean, he just has something. There's something about him. My eye test tells me that Zawad has got a little something there. Pitching wise, Steve Montgomery always builds his thing with that deep pitching staff. Of course, Mongo, a pitching savant, I guess. I mean, he knows his stuff. He always finds those arms, unearths those arms like an arm factory. Sometimes he starts the bullpen. Sometimes he starts with the rotation, but he just gets those arms. Tell us about those arms. I know that you've got the rotation for the series, but tell us what you can tell overall how that staff looks.
Well, Steve Montgomery, his best teams, the ones I can think of, in 15 with the 75 win club and 18 the 71 win club, it was built around pitching. So he's getting back to his roots and getting back to what works, which is, go in and build a elite bullpen and a very good starting rotation. Night one, you guys are going to see Kevin McCanna. He was a AAA arm last year. He pitched for us 5 years ago. He was a bullpen arm. He's turned into a starter now. They're really excited about him, obviously, to start him night one. Tyler Beardsley, he'll pitch game 2. He'll pitch on Saturday. I'm excited to have him back. He took a line drive off the hand in Kane County early June last year and was out for the rest of the season. So when he left, he was, I believe, leading the league in wins and strikeouts, or at least our team. Either way, he was very productive for us. So I'm really happy to have him back. You know him from Australia when he was with Melbourne, how good he is. And then Carlos Sierra, last time we saw him was 2019, but he was our best starter in the second half of that 2019 season. He was really good for us. I'm really excited to have him back. And then obviously the other guys, Hedges, Leday, Adcock, bringing them back. They were pretty good for us last year. And then obviously the bullpen again. Matt Poberico's gone. He's not here, but Nate Gherkin's still here. Max Coons is still here. Guys very high velocity. They have some pretty good fastballs. And, some other names like Kevin Lennox, he was a AAA arm. For Omaha and Worcester, I believe, or maybe.
Take the day first.
That's right.
Around, but, he should be really good out of the pen as well. Thomas McElraith, he competes. And then of course Tyler Cook. I mean, he threw a no-hitter last year, and he was really good as a left-handed reliever for us, and came up with a lot of big outs as a youngster. So, and Jonas Smith. I mean, the guy actually he pitched really well against Kansas City last year. So,
no problem.
We have a lot of arms. I'm sure I'm missing a couple of names, but
that's what Steve Montgomery does, builds that thing through arms. Connor Ryan with us here as we round third, head for home here on Monarch Smoke, our week-long look at the American Association West Division. Couple of final things. One more serious note. A lot of fans have seen the news in Sioux City, post online, things of that nature. A lot of questions have been asked. And having been in that situation personally with the old T-Bones here, just what's the general demeanor of the fans up there right now with some of the news that's been going on? I mean, I think that's the easiest way to phrase the question.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, some of the fans were a little worried, to be quite honest. But what I keep telling them is, look, we're going to have Sioux City Explorers baseball here this season, and I plan on having it next season and the year after that, the year after that. And, we're celebrating our 30th season this year. I'm looking forward to celebrating our 60th year someday. So, that's what I tell them.
I do the math here. You're going to be you're going to be that? I'm just kidding.
So opening night, we're bringing back a few big names. Maybe I'll be one of those people.
Right. So, you'll be the Dave Nitz that'll be brought out opening night, right?
Yeah, exactly. Someday. Right. So, no, but I mean, I don't know anything about the seats, in terms of any of the politics behind it. I know my seat in the press box works just fine. But I mean, we're still going to have Sioux City Explorers baseball. I don't predict anything happening. And like I said, I hope that the Sioux City Explorers are one of the original teams in independent baseball. It'd be a shame for that to change, and I don't expect it to.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Yeah, those radio seats are fine. Tell them that mine's fine too. You get the message that mine's fine. And I can always high five Jamie next to me and all that, so it's always good. Final thing. The other day I had Steve Schuster on, and we were discussing possible matchups. Steve, of course, likes to throw and does the pitching thing and films himself velo and all that, his arm angle. And I proposed a challenge. Now, Brad Albert, of course, not our division anymore, but Brad comes into play here. I'm going to catch. Schuster's going to be pitching. Now, Brad won't get a chance to answer this for a while, but Steve and I have challenged, thought it would be great to have you and Brad, because you guys had the burger off last year with Whataburger and In-N-Out, maybe a hit off, like a home run derby. We'll bring the fences in. I'll, and Schuster's going to, now, could Schuster strike you out first, or would he strike out Allred first? I guess that's my question.
Oh man. I'm going to say he's going to strike out Brad first, because Brad's going to go down on 3 pitches. I'm probably going to go down on 4. I'll at least take 1. Brad would be the guy that swings at anything. Brad's going to swing at the slider that's in the other batter's box. I guarantee that. And then he would swing at it and then have the audacity to turn to the ump and be like, "Hey, was that a strike or no? That just what I swing at there." Is that the edge of the zone?
Hey, Red Runner fans, that was a strike, huh? I mean, you're not going to see him say that now.
Is that the edge of the zone there? Well, we did the Instagram live the other night together, and Brad admitted that.
I was watching. I was there. I was supposed to. They're supposed to let me in, but they. I just kept chatting. They wouldn't let me in. I don't know what the deal was,
but Brad did admit. So you heard Brad admitted I was the more physical specimen between the two of us. So
and that's what Michael Dixon said too on our interview on Wednesday. He said that he was going to take you in this battle. So I'm just going to call. I told Steve, I'll just put the fingers down. You just throw what you want to throw. I'll just catch and I'll be fine. So
I'm not very good. I'm not very good. I mean, I tried taking BP once last year. It didn't go well. So
yeah, I'm going to hurt myself.
Yeah, I rolled over the second.
Hey, Connor, I appreciate your time as always. Look forward to seeing you in Kansas City, and always just a pleasure. And look forward to catching up with you down the road. And thanks for again, he's just a great mate, my friend.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Dan. Happy to be on.